What's good, YouTube? Today we're going to talk about the 5 best and most powerful engines for the Maximum Crisis format. And I think a lot of these can splash into many different decks, and you're able to just put it in and go with a certain engine. And the number 5 position goes to Artifacts. Corey McDuffie, eat your heart out, because this has lasted the test of time. I think the Artifacts are a great addition to many decks, but I also think their power is waning for this format because True Dracos do not rely on the extra deck at all. And while it does offer removal in the form of Art Attack Moral Tech, which is at 1 in the TCG still, I think the reason it's been more powerful throughout the test of time is Artifact Scythe. Scythe being able to cut off any deck that relies on the extra deck, such as the Zodiacs, which is why we saw it so much in the previous format against Paleozoics, against so many decks that rely on the extra. It's so good. I think True King Dinosaurs can also OTK semi-consistently without dipping into the extra, but the extra is what gives them the next level. The Artifacts just seem to still hold relevance because of decks like Invoked that are able to force people to go into their extras to typically deal with them, but a deck like True Dracos on the horizon definitely does wane into the power of this deck's relevance. I just think that it's still great. So many people are going to still be playing Twin Twisters, but Cosmic Cyclone is also going to come into a pretty big relevance, forcing Sanctum without it getting its pop like you would with a Twin Twisters. But Twin Twisters, of course, will still see heavy play as well, and still be running into Sanctum over and over, as well as back row Artifacts. I think, though, the next 4 definitely outshine it, especially with the number 4 position going to the Speedroid engine. Yes, you've seen Terror Top and Tackmtong Borg time and time again since 2014 as well. And Burning Abyss, even making an appearance in Monarchs at times. This engine, the Rank 3 engine, is so insane. And into the Zodiac era, where it was grabbing MX Saber Invoker as another Rank 3, it enables so many plays in so many decks, but it also has the synchro potential. If you watched Hunter Lloyd in our Zodiac Duelist Tournament series play Dinglong Turbo, you know that Terror Top is also a 1-card Dinglong and can also make some other pretty insane synchro plays. It is one of the most versatile engines, being able to span from just playing Terror Top and Tackmtong Borg into being able to play Red-Eye Dice and Tuners and having all sorts of potential that just turns this deck, well, turns many decks onto another level as the engine splashes in. I think for being an enabler piece, more so, to many decks, being able to make Dante to mill for Burning Abyss, being able to special summon here and get the Zodiac engine going, it's just really interesting to see how often it has stood the test of time. And would it be as relevant without Invoker? Probably not, and I've seen a lot of people going away from it unless they're playing pure Zoo. So it is waning a little bit, and comparative to our next contender here, that is definitely gonna be big. It's gonna be huge, and it comes from the Maximum Crisis set to be enabled, the Predaplant engine. Now let's get into this, because some of you guys may not know. It's relatively new. You should know about this, but basically, Scorpio searches Cobra for you, to put it in simple terms. Predaplant Scorpio is able to go, if this card is normal summoned or special summon, you send 1 monster from your hand to the graveyard. Special summon 1 Predaplant monster from your deck, except for Scorpio. You can only use this effect once per turn. And now Cobra has an effect so powerful, you can only use it once per duel. If this card is special summoned by the effect of a Predaplant monster, you can add a Polymerization spell card or a Fusion spell card from your deck to the hand. You can only use this effect of Cobra once per duel. That's pretty insane if you let it sink in. You can search Instant Fusion. You can search Brilliant Fusion. Oh, it's so good. It's just insane. And it leaves 2 level 3 bodies on the field, much like the Speedroid engine, to go into Invoker for your Zodiacs. So not only does it enable rank 3s, but it allows for additional normal summons and cards to be sent from the deck to the graveyard via Brilliant Fusion. It allows for extender plays with Norden. The versatility there already is pretty good because you can choose what kind of fusion card you're going for. But on top of it, you get a rank 3 body on board with just the first normal summon. It's pretty good. But Ghost Ash, much like the Terratop engine before, does definitely hurt what it does, but it's still such a powerful engine that I think we will see it really invade the format past what anybody expects. Now, we held an open poll on Zodiac, and this is actually the list in the same order that they put it as, but I could actually agree. At first, I was being a bit like, there's no way, the Terratop engine has to be better. But after reading these and talking to DZ about it, I definitely see the potential of this deck. I definitely, well, not deck, the engine, but this engine in many, many decks is just so good. And it's often that we take with some of the best things from a deck on how it should be run and apply it to others. This is one of those engines that you take and you try in basically everything that you're going to be trying. Ooh, it's so good to search Brilliant Fusion. You have a way to tutor out Brilliant Fusion. It's insane to me. And then we go into our number 2 slot. Zodiacs. Now, let me just say, Zoo is different as an engine than a deck. There is Zoo the engine and Zoo the deck. We're talking about where you splash 2 Rat Piers, maybe a Whiptail, maybe you go ahead and put in some barrages, maybe not. And then you put in your Fusion Substitute combo, because even though that's a separate engine, the Zoo engine enables it by broadbull hard searching it out of your deck. So Zoo the engine, it's here. A lot of you guys don't like it in my comment section. Not another Zoo deck. They say that when it's just Zoo the engine and anything. Well, we could see Zoo True Dracos, where the goal is to have a Trident and Masterpiece, and they're like, not another Zoo deck. But it's Zoo the engine is definitely and undeniably one of the best, where you can just start with 1 card and draw 5. And with the new Predaplant engine that we were just talking about, you can get a draw 7 combo off. So these engines are starting to stack. You see where this is going? Used to the Zoo engine, use the Speedroid engine, and you could just use both engines together in a lot of decks. But now, this standalone engine still does so much and then stacks with others. It just goes in so many things. So for its versatility, its stackability, its ability to just end with so much draw power and a card on the board that is going to force your opponent to do something and Trident, and then Whiptail being banish removal. It's also good. It's just too good to deny. And I honestly thought about putting it in the number 1 slot. I think it almost deserves it. And I'm really hesitant to call the number 1 slot an engine, but it is an engine, and I will explain why. We go forward into our number 1, seeing that it is the Kaijus. Now, why are Kaijus an engine? Well, you're able to splash 3 to 4 Kaijus and Slumber in almost any deck. And at first, me and DZ were talking, and he was saying it doesn't advance your game state. But in a sense, when you put a Kaiju on their board, you are able to advance your game state by special summoning any of your Kaijus on your board, usually the bigger one. But also, Interrupted Kaiju Slumber is a board wipe that also searches from your deck. These two things combined allow this to be called an engine. It's a removal engine, basically, but it is an engine that will allow you to advance your game state. Now, Kaijus offer power, and then they basically deal with any problem in any deck. It's very splashable in main decks. We saw Billy doing it in Infernoids. We saw Zoo Kaijus. We saw it in many, many, many side decks as well, in top cuts all over the place. And I think it will become more important now, more so than ever, with the True Dracos coming out. So it's also very good for getting rid of VFD, and then you set up a Trident, so you're able to deal with something on their turn. You're able to do so much with the Kaiju engine. We've seen it in Invoke decks as well. Invoke decks maining it alongside the Artifact engine in the previous format, and I think it's the only way that Invoked will strive to move forward. It's so good. And I think the power that the Zoo engine offers, +5, I personally feel like it might give it an edge over the Kaiju engine, but the Kaiju engine's spot-free removal, not caring about what it's touching, it doesn't matter if it's a masterpiece, it doesn't matter if it's towers, a band card, it doesn't matter what it is, a Kaiju takes care of it. And it gets rid of Dryden and allows you to advance freely. It's so good that I could not deny it the #1 position. One of the most debated engines on if it's even healthy for the game to have these around, because it doesn't allow decks to do what they're supposed to do. That's exactly what the Kaijus are. So, what did you guys think of the top 5 most splashable engines, the best most splashable engines for 2K17? I think this is a pretty good list. I think you could flip the Kaijus alongside the Zoos. Like I said, my initial reaction was to put Speedroids ahead of Predaplant till it was, you know, explained to me, and then I was like, wow, why did I even think anything else? I think there's ways to flip it around. And what engines did I miss? I thought about doing honorable mentions for this one, like Volcanics, because I think Regeking doing your opponent's turn is still funny and busted, and it was played in the Paleos, but it's just not going to be too relevant. And these 5 engines, I think, are the most important splashable ones, although artifacts are waning slowly in their power. Thanks for watching, and I just want to shout out at the end here, too. We raised a lot of money on the live stream recently for something really cool for the channel. And when I say I'm going to get something, I do get it. This is a really expensive camera, basically. 800 plus. I actually spent 900 and it went 50 on sale the next day. Alongside an external microphone. I have more stuff coming in for it, like an amazing memory card. It films in 4K. So expect those pack opening, I mean deck profiles to be real pristine moving forward in the future. And I think it's going to be great for the channel. It's just improving and upping the quality of what we're doing. It has really awesome stabilization and it detects lighting really well, so no more dark videos for you guys.